All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We've got the voice of the Maryland Terrapins, DC sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Johhny Holliday. Johhny, how's everything going for you?
That's good, good, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Hopefully, I think the country's maybe getting this, getting on their high horse, maybe trying to move forward and listening to the health officials, and maybe we can get back to normal life sooner rather than later.
Boy, I sure hope so. I think everybody feels the same way you and I do. That you really need sports, and you get so used to it. And with this coronavirus, just taking everybody by surprise and shutting down everything. I know that the medical forces are doing all they can to hopefully get back to some kind of normalcy. We've seen that with baseball. We've seen it with the NBA down in Florida. So we hope that they continue to find a cure for the virus, and sooner than later, we hope to get back at least close to being to normal.
Definitely. And speaking of baseball, what have been your thoughts on these Nats? Because before this season, last time we saw them was the parade, and now just kind of different team. Rendon's gone, a little bit different roster. What have been your initial thoughts?
Yeah, a couple of nights ago, I took a look at the roster and I said, "Who are these guys? Are they AA guys or AAA guys?" Some guys have left the ball club, gone to bigger and better deals. A lot of guys have gotten hurt already, and I think that's probably because of not being ready for the season to start like they would have been initially after going through spring training. But the loss of Strasburg is going to be a major loss. How long he's out is anybody's guess. And you lost Rendon at third base. You've lost some other guys to free agency. But I think Rendon was a major, major loss for this ball club. Wilson Ramos is having a good year as he moves on. Ian Desmond's having a good year. So is Daniel Murphy. I mean, all these guys that have gone on to other ball clubs are doing pretty well. But it's awfully tough to repeat as a World Series champion, as you know.
Yeah.
And, because of the shortened season, I think the pressure is on the pitchers to be at their very best every single time they go out to that mound. And you've got to maybe overthink. You've got to maybe overpitch certain situations because you've got to do your best that game. You don't have 162. You've only got 60 games to play. And that puts pressure on everybody. But there's a long way to go yet, so we'll see what happens.
Do you think they're kind of going game in, game out right now, or do you think every loss, they're just keeping that in the back of their mind, like we don't have much time this year?
I would imagine that's probably in the back of their minds, although Davey Martinez, I'm sure, is telling these guys, hey, even the newcomers that have come up, Garcia and these other kids, hey, this is, you're in the major leagues because you can play in the major leagues. Just go out there, relax. My motto is to have fun. You take it one game at a time, and you don't look past this game you're going to play tonight or the game you're going to play tomorrow. If you start worrying about, well, we've only got 35 games to go or 25 games to go, that puts undue pressure on you and the rest of the ball club as well. Just take it one game at a time, as they did last year. And look what happened last year. If you remember, going into May and April and May and June and July, everybody said, is Davey Martinez going to make the All-Star break as the manager of this ball club? Nobody thought he would. Then all of a sudden the magic started to happen, and you start winning games that maybe you shouldn't win. And you've got Scherzer pitching well. You got Strasburg pitching well. I mean, you got all these guys, just everything works so perfectly to win a World Series. And for Davey Martinez to do that, when you consider some of the managers this ball club has had with Dusty Baker and with Matt Williams and with Davey Johnson and Frank Robinson, none of those guys could get it done. But somehow, Davey Martinez had that magic going for him. Everybody bought into it. The result, a World Series championship.
Yeah, because this year, if they start off 19-31, it's going to be very difficult to make the postseason.
Absolutely. And you can't do that. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. And what would have been your thought on the Orioles? Because nobody really saw them doing anything this year. And I think I saw that they're right on the edge of the wild card.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, the Orioles. I saw the Orioles are apparently.
Well, how about that? I mean, nobody gave them a chance to do anything.
Nope.
But all they're doing is winning. Whether 13-8 now or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some good young ball players. So it just goes to show you don't have to have a a solid veteran, base of players in your ball club. If the other guys believe that they can get the job done at the major league level, the Orioles are a perfect example of that. And I love what Brandon Hyde does for that ball club. He's got them loose. He's got them relaxed. They're having a good time. And I think, the more you win, the more you surprise people, that confidence meter goes way up.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you think you're unbeatable. And you go out there and nobody's going to be able to touch you. You get the good pitching, the good hitting. And Baltimore deserves that because they've been struggling for a long, long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially having for the past 2 seasons, having the first and second pick in the draft, knowing that you've got them kind of ready in the farm and in the farm system, and just to build a good culture. So when they're ready to bring them on, I think it is nothing but success for the team.
Yeah, and I think that they got such great fans in Baltimore.
Yeah.
You hate to see what happened the last couple of years, where they just got swamped. Loss after loss after loss. But it's such a great city for baseball, great city for sports, really, with the Ravens and, everything else they've got up there going for them. And you just pull for those guys to get back to where they were. One of the best ballparks in America is Camden Yards. And, you go up, you used to seeing that place packed when Cal was playing and Eddie Murray was playing. And it'd be nice to see them get back to where they were again.
Absolutely. And flipping over to college football. So the news came out last week with the Big Ten postponing the season. Do you think there's a possibility they play in the spring, or are you just kind of ready to go to next season?
Well, I think what they're going to do, they're going to try to play in the springtime. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to do it, I don't know. But there's no way they could play in September.
No, not a chance.
So if you move it to March or April, whatever, that gives you a few more months to see if you can find a cure for this virus and make people more comfortable and more confident in what they can do as far as social gatherings are concerned, and things open up a little bit. But the problem there, Zach, is if you play, April or February, March, and April, all you've got is a couple of months off, and the season starts again in September, 2021 season. And then for the guys that are going to go in the NFL draft, either fortunately or unfortunately for Maryland, not a lot of those guys on this team will be picked anyhow. It's a blessing in disguise for Mike Locksley, I think. But I don't think the Big Ten had any alternative but to shut it down and don't take chances. Now, it's still some conferences. SEC is going to try to play. A couple of other conferences going to try to play. And we'll see how that plays out. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it, but I think what the Big Ten did was the right decision.
How excited are you to see Raheem Jarrett when he does play?
Well, I very, like everybody else, very excited. I think Mike Locksley is a perfect choice to be the head coach in Maryland. Last year was a combination of new system, new coaching staff, again, injuries to all the quarterbacks. I don't know of any school in America that has lost more quarterbacks to injuries than the University of Maryland. But you get a guy like Locks to come in. He brings the kid down from Alabama with him.
Yep. To his brother.
And he will have the inside track to being the starting quarterback. And Lance Legendre is not bad. The young freshman kid from down in Louisiana will be in his second year in the program. And then the rest of them are all young guys. But you've got a good defense coming back. You got outstanding receivers. You got some good running backs. The offensive line is a lot better. And all these kids that come to play for Mike Locksley, they believe in him. They believe in what he's going to do. They believe in the way that he addresses everything. And every kid in that football team, as Mike has said over and over again, is like a son to me. They're a member of my family. My responsibility is your son, your son, your son. And I think in due time, he's going to get the job done. Absolutely. Albeit it's a very tough conference division that we're in the Big Ten, with Ohio State and Michigan State and Michigan and Penn State. You get rid of one of those big powerhouse schools, turn the page for next week. Oh, we got Ohio State now. You got to play Michigan. You got to play. It's a lot tougher conference than the ACC was.
Absolutely. And then flipping over to basketball. So I think they're cautiously optimistic that college basketball could happen. But this Terps team coming up, no more Cowan. He's gone. and Jalen Smith looks like he's heading to the NBA. What are you expecting for them when they do suit up?
Well, the sad thing was last year, because everybody got so excited about the Big Ten tournament, which they never played in. I was on the way to the airport when I got a call. By the way, we're not going to play.
Wow.
What? No, you can turn around and go back home. And I figured if the Big Ten tournament is canceled, the NCAA tournament's going to be canceled. Okay. Who knows how far they could have gone last year, but I thought they could have easily been a Sweet 16 team. Elite eight team, maybe even a Final Four team, because they had all the pieces together. But you take away Cowan, you take away Jalen Smith, and what do you got left? Okay, well, you got Shoal Mario. You got the 7-footer from Sudan, who hopefully will be healthy, and he could step in there in that center spot, 7'2", 7'3". Then you've got Eric Ayala. You got Aaron Wiggins. You got Daryl Morcell. That's a pretty good threesome right there. And you've got an excellent recruiting class coming in. And some of the guys decided to transfer and go elsewhere. And those guys probably saw the writing on the wall that maybe they weren't going to play as much as they thought they should have been playing, with these new freshman kids coming in and a couple of transfers also joining the program. So the losses that they had, I don't think are going to be that serious. But it's going to be a little tougher sledding than I think last year was. But Mark Turgeon's a heck of a coach, and he's got these guys believing, and we'll see what happens. I just hope they play so we can see what happens.
Do you know if Varon Rahm's still there? Because I feel like he was one of my fan favorites, the small defensive guard.
Yeah, Varon, he's still around. I think he's in something in the medical profession. I think he was thinking about going to med school, but I think he's working in the private sector. One of my favorite players. And the fan favorite too. Everybody loved Varon Rahm.
Yeah.
And he knew when he transferred to Maryland, he wasn't going to play a lot. He was there to, mop up here, mop up there. And you might play against a non-conference school early in the year, but don't expect to get a lot of playing time. And he was one of the favorites, I think, of any fan who came to watch a Maryland game. And a great kid. I mean, absolutely. And smart as a whip. You talk to him about, I have no idea what he's talking about, because he's in a totally different world than I'm in, but just a great, great kid.
Definitely. And then flipping over to the Washington football team, finally getting pads on, starting to see kind of some of the second-year players. So Montez Sweat and Dwayne Haskins getting going today. You see Chase Young, looks like he's already a machine. What are your expectations for this season, assuming all goes according to plan?
The expectations for Maryland?
Oh, no, for the Washington football team.
Oh, well. I think your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what's going to happen. At that organization, I have to choose my words carefully now.
Yeah.
I wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah.
But it sure is a lot different. When I was doing their pregame show on radio for 12 years, when WMAL carried the games, and I did the pregame show, Ken Beatrice did the postgame show, Sam Huff, Frank Herzog, and Sonny Jurgensen. That was the broadcast team. And the coach was Joe Gibbs. And it was like an all-star at every position. Great ownership with Jack Kent Cook. Great leadership with Charlie Casserly, one of the greatest general managers that they ever had. And Bobby Beathard in there as well.
Yeah.
And to see what they did and how they did it and how the fan base, you couldn't get a ticket to a Redskins. Well, it was Redskins then.
Yes.
You couldn't get a ticket to a game. Now there's plenty of tickets available because of all the losing. But I think you always pull for the local team. You always pull for the Mystics. You pull for the Wizards. You pull for the Washington football team. And you hope that they're going to do well. I think Ron Rivera coming in as the head coach is a great move. He's a no-nonsense guy. And the one thing about the Washington football team I would like to see happen is to have Alex Smith come back and play at quarterback again.
Interesting.
Now, whether he can or not, I know he's going to try. But that story of his is, that's made for a television special. What he went through, how gruesome that injury was, how serious it was. And they were trying to save his leg. They weren't sure if he's ever going to walk again.
Nope.
And here he is back on the practice field. And I think everybody, including Dwayne Haskins, is pulling for Alex Smith to be 100% and be able to play this year. That would be great.
Yeah. That's incredible. Do you think, 'cause the thing I'm always concerned about is a repeat injury. Do you think that's on the back of his mind, or do you think he just wants to get back out there?
Well, I think Robin Smith, the doctor that treated him, said
Yeah.
he's good to go.
Interesting.
Now, when you have contact, that's another thing.
Yeah.
That are you thinking about it? I've seen a lot of guys. Well, Kasim Hill, when he came back to Maryland a couple of years ago, after the dislocation of the knee or the torn ligaments in the knee and the AC, whatever he had, and he was thinking about that all the time. And you got to figure Alex in the back of his mind. You can't block it out.
Yeah.
I know Joe Theismann, we had that terrible broken ankle,
Yeah.
was never the same after that. Now, whether or not Alex is going to be in the same category, who knows? But you would think that if he could block that out and just go out there and play, get that first hit, have somebody level him, fall on that leg, and get up, and it's okay, then I think he's going to have peace of mind.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The thing is, a lot of it is psychological. So if you seeing that happen and they get back up, the defense better watch out. So
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
but this has been a lot of fun. I wanted to thank you again for chatting for a few minutes.
Sure.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much. And I can't. Looks like Maryland football, not for a while. Basketball, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope also the kids can go back to school.
Yeah.
And get back to some kind of normalcy. If they do, how long it's going to last, anybody's game. But if you go by the directions of those that know in the medical profession, wear the mask when you're out in public, wash your hands, 50 times a day, no social gathering. And I think that's going to go a long, long way for us getting back to being close to normal again.
Absolutely. Especially I saw with the FDA putting ahead the new saliva tests that are very, very cheap to make, to use. And I think that can sort of fast forward us until a vaccine is ready. But I think that's just great uplifting news, especially when the country really needs it.
You're absolutely correct, Dr. Zach.
Thank you. But this has been awesome. Just want to thank you again.